Yo, welcome to Alpha Omega University. Welcome back to all of you guys. Yo, that transition was fucking perfect today. I gotta give myself props. The timing on that shit was perfect. Also, that song we were just listening to, man, it's fire. It's fire. There's some songs in the playlist I haven't like fully listened to yet. Because I made the playlist myself, right? For all the songs that go on here, but there's like 70 some songs, and so I haven't actually like listened to all of them, man. And some of them are pretty good. Yo, what's up, Jorita? You speak Spanish, Carl, or you just role play? No, I speak Spanish, man. I speak Spanish. I was born in Mexico. But I've lived all my life in the U.S. So that's why I don't really have the accent, But yeah, I mean, I grew up with like Mexican culture and everything speaking Spanish. So yeah. I just don't speak Spanish like really high level, like I can't speak like Spanish professionally or anything like that. It's just like very basic level. Like I understand everything, but at basic level, you know what I mean? So that's it. Yeah. Yo, what's up, man? I appreciate you guys for showing up. Today we got episode 14, Disengage tanks. All right. If you were here for yesterday, you already know what we're gonna do. Yesterday we did clump tanks, right? Today, we're doing disengage tanks. So we're gonna be talking about the disengage tanks. Now, I know some of you guys are gonna be like, wait, what about this kind of tank? What about that kind of tank? Because there's only 3 weapons that we're gonna talk about today. All right, 3 weapons. That's because these are the only true like disengage tank type weapons that exist in the game, right? So let me remind you guys, I am still sick, so every once in a while I'm gonna have to like mute the microphone so I can cough and whatever. But I'll try to let you guys know and not cough into the mic. Anyway, today I'm gonna try to not take too long on the episode today. Yesterday we ran right up to about 2 hours, right? And so the show is gonna be always about an hour and 2 hours, right? And so I don't like hitting the 2 hour mark too often. Also, I'm gonna be going out with the family after the stream, so I'm gonna try to speed it up. But don't worry, I'm gonna give you guys all the information, all the content, and because today we're only gonna be talking about 3 weapons, it's gonna be a little quicker anyway than yesterday, because yesterday we talked about 4. But yeah, the 3 weapons we're gonna be talking about is gonna be Heavy Mace, Growth Keeper, and Grail Seeker, right? If you have any weapon that you believe is a disengage weapon, right, that is commonly used in ZvZ, drop it in the chat right now. Let me know, and I can add it in and we can talk about it, but other than that, those are the 3 true disengage weapons, right? You don't really have too many options when it comes to disengage tank. I know Great Arcane is for disengage, right? But that's support. That's not a tank. A tank is a weapon that allows you to play up front and allows you to take a lot of damage. Okay, and those things, arcane staffs, they don't give you that extra HP. You can argue that like one-handed arcane, the one-handed arcane, you can it throws a silence and purge. It's like basically a ranged heavy mace, right? You can argue that kind of can be a tank if you wear a taproot with it because it gives you more HP. But you're still losing out on things such as like the healing buff and things like that. Which, by the way, the healing debuff that you get from Taproot is actually pretty significant. Okay, so don't go around thinking that it's not a big deal. Like when you add up the numbers, man, it does turn out to be quite a bit. Okay, so don't take it lightly. But yeah, I mean that's the only one that I may include if you run it like that. But even then, it's not really a true tank, right? Because it's not actually doing any roots or stunts. It's not physically stopping the enemy at any point in time. All right, so that's why we're only going to talk about the 3 weapons: Heavy Mace, Growth Keeper, Grail Seeker. As always, make sure you guys follow if you like the content. Subscribe if you want to. You don't have to, but I definitely appreciate it. Either way, the content is free, so you never have to pay for it. I will not make it like subscriber only or anything like that. At least not anytime soon, right? So yeah, the content's free. The goal of the stream is to teach you guys as much as possible, right? So I can't teach you guys if I start trying to like make it all exclusive and all that shit, right? So we got a question in the chat. Jotita says, sorry for interrupting. Have you discussed about offhands already in an episode? Not exclusively, man. And don't worry about interrupting, man. I read the chat, right? And it's like I read the chat the entire time. It's not like I have a script, man. I don't have a script, right? Like I have an outline that I kind of just go off of, and like I hit the points that I want to hit, right? And that's it. But everything's kind of off the top of my head, man. So it's not like you're interrupting anything. You're adding to the conversation, right? Because the questions you have, I can tell you 9 times out of 10, someone else has the same question you're having. So yeah, no, it helps out a lot for sure. I've discussed about offhands, but not directly, right? Not directly. Like I haven't like spoken about offhands specifically in any one episode. I will at some point. Yeah, I will. And I'll talk about it and how we compare those things up and how they could be used in different weapons and different roles and things like that. But no, I haven't done that yet. I've only talked about like how you can implement them in certain aspects, just like right now how I dropped in a conversation about Taproot a little bit, right? But yeah, other than just dropping it in like that little by little, I haven't made an actual episode. Like I said, I'm still working on the next batch of episodes, right? And by the next batch of episodes, I mean by like the next like 20 episodes or so, right? I'm still writing them right now. And so, you know, I'm still open to suggestions. If there's any suggestions, that is one of the episodes that I do have on the list. It's about offhands. I have an episode that I'm working on for battle mounts. I have an episode that I'm working on for castles and territory sieges. But that one I might split into 2 episodes because it's just a lot. So yeah, but I you know, there's a lot more coming, right? There's a lot more coming. We're gonna get deeper and deeper with everything, and the concepts are gonna get more and more complex as we go. Okay, but yeah, don't worry about it. We're gonna learn one thing at a time. So all right, anyway, let's get on with it. So we're gonna be doing we're gonna be talking about the gear that these D-tanks wear, right? Then we're also gonna talk about some tips and tricks that you might want to do and want to learn from and want to like use in your actual ZvZs to try to like get better as a disengaged tank. And then at the end, we're gonna do some VOD review, right? We're gonna review some people. We're gonna be review 2 or 3 videos per weapon. Okay, so we're gonna go kind of quick with them just so that I can show you guys different people using the weapons, and you guys can see different aspects of it. Now, I play mostly heavy mace. Heavy mace is the weapon that I've played the most, aside from Soul Scythe when I would call. Right, so when I would call, I would run Soul Scythe. So aside from running Soul Scythe, heavy mace is the second weapon I most used. The third weapon I've most ever used is Grail Seeker. So when it comes to disengaged tank, I'm pretty well versed in it. So yeah, I'm the analysis that we're gonna do, the VOD review that we're gonna do. I included some of my own videos for heavy mace, but I didn't include for Grail Seeker. I picked up other people for Grail Seeker. So anyway, all right. So the weapons are, I already told you, heavy mace, growth keeper, and Grail Seeker. For heavy mace, you're gonna want the silence Q, right? The silence Q is just very strong. Obviously, if you're a disengaged tank, you want anything that has some sort of CC, and silence kind of counts as CC, especially the silence Q, because it's actually an area of effect, right? I mentioned a little bit yesterday about ground effect versus timed effect, right? So the CC changes that were made like a year ago, or less than a year ago. Those CC changes, they basically made it so that you had incredibly harsh diminishing returns on the same CC. So if I stun somebody for 5 seconds and then somebody else stuns that person for 5 seconds, that second person is actually not going to stun them for 5 seconds. They're actually only going to stun them for like a fraction of that. So like 3 seconds instead, right? And then somebody else stuns them again for 5 seconds. They're not actually going to stun them for 5. They're going to end up stunning them for only 1 second. Shit like that. Okay, so it gets worse and worse and worse. So it's forced players to diversify the CC, right? So now you want different types of CC like stun, root, silence, slow, right? You want all 4 as opposed to before you would basically just kind of overstack on the root and stun. Okay, nowadays you're kind of forced a little bit more to diversify, and so the Q silence for the heavy mace is actually really strong because it's one of the very few skills that is actually still considered a ground effect. Okay, what that means is that the ground effect means that it is not affected by those CC diminishing returns. Okay, so you stand on that AoE, you're gonna get silenced for as long as you stand on that AoE. All right, it's just that simple. That's what a ground effect is. So heavy mace Q silence is one of the very few skills that are still considered ground effect, so it's very, very powerful. Also, it's a silence, and it has the benefit, and this is one of the little tips that I kind of mentioned later, but I'm gonna mention it now because it makes sense. The silence Q from heavy mace or any mace for that matter actually procs the Fort Sterling capes of the enemy. Okay, so like that's a very important fact to know. So if you're a person that's running Fort Sterling cape, don't run into those silence pools because you're gonna fuck yourself out of your Fort Sterling cape. On the other side, if you're a disengaged tank and you have that silence Q, you see anybody with a Fort Sterling cape on the field, drop a Q on it, right? Because it's gonna pop their Fort Sterling cape. Okay, now if it's already popped, then whatever, it doesn't matter, right? But it's very powerful in that sense because you get rid of their cleanse, right? It's very useful. Also, it's obviously very useful on chokes and things like that. Anyway, the W for heavy mace, you're gonna run snare charge. There's no reason to run literally anything else on heavy mace. It's gonna be snare charge. Okay, it's gonna be the interrupt. The W does an interrupt and it also does a root, right? It also gives you mobility. It's just massive, right? And I'll show you guys some of the videos that I play with. Like W is just so incredibly important to heavy mace. If you don't have it, then it makes it 10 times harder to actually use your E appropriately. So the second part of it is that the E, right? The E itself for heavy mace is very, very strong because it is the only E for a tank that actually purges the enemy. Okay, so that's actually extremely, extremely powerful. Okay, purges in this game have always been very powerful. However, years ago, the Locust used to be able to purge. Okay, so if some of you guys are a little newer, you don't remember that, right? The Locust used to be able to purge, and then they took it out. Once they took it out, suddenly purge is like minimal in the game, right? There's not a lot of things that can purge, at least not a lot of things that are useful, right? There's I think it's called the Daybreaker, the spear that purges, right? I think it's called Daybreaker. It's not that good, man. The damage it does, it's kind of low. It's not very useful. The purge is cool, but aside from that, I mean, it needs more damage, right? Or it needs something else. Other purges, you have like the life curse, but the AoE is kind of small. Also, the life curse is channeled. Even though it's uninterruptible, it's still channeled, so it's kind of whatever, to be honest. If it wasn't channeled, it'd be better. So yeah. Also, the one-handed arcane also purges, right? But essentially, there's not a lot of purge in this game, and so having a tank with a purge E is actually very powerful. It's actually very, very powerful. Not only that, it also silences. Okay, the silence itself is also another thing that is not very common. If you think about all the other options for stopping the enemy, none of them involve a silence. Literally, none of them. The only one like that is for use for a tank that silences is the heavy mace E. Okay, the other silence that you can kind of think of, like the Q silence, I guess, for heavy mace, but the other silence would be the Q silence for the arcanes, right? But again, that's a Q, right? That's not the E, and also the AoE is very small, so it's not as big, it's not as useful. Okay. The E is pretty big it's like 5.5 meters radius for like the heavy mace, right? So it's pretty big, and it's a purge and silence. So it's extremely powerful. I'll tell you guys right now, I'm not saying this because I personally have used the heavy mace literally since like 2017. Like when I started playing, like I literally have used heavy mace since then, right? I'm not saying this because I love the weapon. I'm saying this because it's just the fact of the matter right now with the current meta being so heavy melee. Okay, heavy mace is the #1 most useful disengage weapon in the entire game right now, completely, period, like across the board. Okay, especially with the new additions of like face scale hat and shit like that, the purge has become even more important. Not only that, the E also has a very low cooldown, 15 seconds. I mean, I'll tell you guys the truth, man. Heavy Mace is OP right now. It really is. Like, if you're a Disengage tank and you're running anything other than Heavy Mace, I think you're making a mistake. Unless you're one of the few Growth Keepers in your Zerg. I'll tell you the truth again. Grail Seeker also, it's not really needed right now. It really isn't. With a heavy melee composition, Grail Seeker doesn't make that much sense, right? If you're running a ranged composition in your Zerg, then that's fine. Grail Seeker, you have to have it, right? But if you're running a heavy melee Zerg like the meta is right now, Grail Seeker doesn't make any sense. We'll get to that in a second. But essentially, Heavy Mace is just so powerful because of the low cooldown, Silence Purge, right? You still get a mobility and interrupt and root on your W. The Q silence pool is very strong for what it is, right? Being a Q, it's actually overpowered for a Q, to be honest. So basically, across the board, Heavy Mace is just OP. I wouldn't be surprised if SBI goes and nerfs it in a couple months from now, right? And I only say a couple months from now because they usually take a few months to kind of, you know, nerf certain things. So yeah, I expect Heavy Mace to get nerfed at some point because it's just too powerful. Until it does get nerfed, make sure you guys use it. It's important. Let me catch up on this chat. I know you guys were chatting and stuff. Hold on. Oh man, you guys were chatting quite a bit. All right, so Uncanny's saying, you know, Calron, you should stream your ZvZ fights. It fits the vibe of your channel and that's some more consistent content. Also, can't wait for the DPS episode because God knows my Bagazi is bored of me intent on perma. Oh, intent on perma. My caller. Okay, my caller or your Bagazi? I don't know, bro. My caller. All right. I remember having offensive locusts. Yeah. So the reason I don't stream my ZvZ fights is because I don't want to make this stream something that people kind of tune into at all random times and shit. And then just kind of watch and like just watch me like fucking do boring shit, right? Like running to the map zone or you know, like gearing up and fucking whatever. Like that shit, like honestly, man, like listen, if you want to watch that kind of stuff, there's 100 other channels. You can go right now. I promise you. You can go right now. Go to the Albion shit and on the Albion section on Twitch, right? And I promise you, you're gonna find 100 of those type of streams, right? Where you can find people doing those kinds of things, where they're just running around and you're just watching them play and things like that. And like the ZvZs are cool and all, but like in reality, they don't last too long, do they? So yeah, I don't want to do it like that. I want this stream to be something that people tune into and they know that there's gonna be like dedicated information and dedicated content that you guys are gonna like be able to digest, right? So yeah, it's just a different kind of stream. That's all it is. Some people like it, some people don't. But I mean, if there are some people that prefer something else, there's plenty of other streams like that already. So I'm trying to do something a little different. Jotita says the Locust when you could purge enemies. Yeah, it was OP, man. It was OP 100%. Locust when you could purge people, it was OP. I'm glad they actually nerfed it. It was just too powerful. Daybreaker, Life Curse, Heavy Mace, Helmet of Valor. Yeah, Helmet of Valor is too slow. If Helmet of Valor was an instant like drop, then yeah, I would actually say it's pretty strong. But no, Helmet of Valor it's too small. It takes too long. It's not reliable. And those are the only purges, yeah. And the one-handed arcane. Yeah, I mentioned that right now. All of this is proving why one-handed arcane is meta right now. No, it's not. One-handed arcane is not meta right now. I think you're thinking about Witchwork. Okay, you're thinking about Witchwork. Witchwork, I don't even think Witchwork is meta. It's getting in the meta, but it's not meta. One-handed arcane is not meta. But you're right that one-handed arcane is powerful as hell right now. In fact, I'll tell you the truth. I'm thinking of switching into one-handed arcane right now. Simply because of how powerful it is right now. Okay? It's just so incredibly important right now. But yeah, I mean, it's not meta. It's going to be. I think it's going to be, but it's not meta right now. I realized how bad my grammar was. I'm sorry. I was saying how it's all good, man. It's all good. One-handed as a D tank is so powerful. Yeah. But it's not really a D tank, right? Because it's an arcane, so it's more of a support. At least I include it in support. That's just the way I view it. Eldervine says, "Do you think battle mounts are serious?" I don't know how to say that, man. Do you think battle mounts are crucial? Crucial. That's what you're trying to say. Crucial. Like, do they decide who wins the fight? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'll put it this way. Eldervine, if you feel as though you lost the fight because the enemy had either some battle mounts and you had none, or you feel you lost the fight because they had more than battle mounts than you, I can promise you are misguided. Okay? Battle mounts help. Yes, absolutely. Battle mounts help. I'm not saying that they don't help. They absolutely help. But they do not carry a Zerg. Okay? If you feel like the reason you lose is because the enemy runs battle mounts and you don't, I can promise you the mistakes happen way before that moment. Okay? There are plenty of other mistakes that your Zerg is making before the battle mounts even actually become important in the fight. All right? Like, I'll put it this way. Well, and I'm going to end it here because I got to keep going, right? But one of the best examples I can give you is right now, the meta is a bunch of Demon Fangs, right? Let's just make it very simple. I mean, I know there's a lot more than that, but let's just say, okay, the meta right now is the majority DPS are running Demon Fangs, right? I mean, I think we can all agree on that. So let's look at the Q of Demon Fang. The Q of Demon Fang does very low damage, and it's not really very useful to like deal consistently good damage to anybody, right? It's mostly used for like mobility. It's not used for the damage because it doesn't do that much damage, right? The W for Demon Fang, it gives you a speed boost and it gives you extra damage, but the damage it actually deals, like the actual damage of the throwing blades, is meager at best, right? So if you think about it, you're like, oh my god, the enemy has battle mounts and they're killing us, and we're running a bunch of Demon Fangs. Well, I'll tell you the truth. I think one of the problems is that you're running a bunch of Demon Fangs. I don't think the problem is that they're running battle mounts and you're not. I think the problem is that you're running a bunch of Demon Fangs. And the reason I say that is because think about this. How the hell are you going to push back a bunch of battle mounts if you have no Q or W that can help push them back? I mean, a tank is going to root them, slow them, stun them, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, the battle mount's not going to walk away unless they get low on HP, right? So therefore, you need DPS that are able to push them back. So my only option to dealing with battle mounts, if I have a full fucking Demon Fang Zerg, is literally I have to full engage on them. Why would I waste the full engage of my entire Zerg to push back, not even kill, right? I'll be lucky if I can kill it, but to push back a battle mount. It's absurd, right? So the mistake was not, oh, I didn't bring battle mounts. No, the mistake is I didn't account for the fact I had to deal with battle mounts, right? You change the composition of your Zerg, suddenly you add a bunch of siege bows with the auto fire Q, not the explosive bolt thing that is useless, the auto fire Q, okay? And you add some brimstones with the single target Q, not the one that shoots a little flare straight forward or whatever. No, I'm talking about the one that has like a 2-second channel, or not even that, it's like a half-second channel, something like that. It's like a 0.5-second channel, and it shoots a Q at them, right? It's a single target only, and it gives them a burn. Okay, you add some of those into your Zerg, and suddenly they will poke those battle mounts, and those battle mounts will not be able to just walk into your Zerg because they know they'll get their HP drawn out. So think about the Juggernaut. It's like, oh my god, I always get clumped by a Juggernaut and then they just kill us. Well, maybe it's because the Juggernaut knows he can literally stand completely inside of your Zerg for 5 minutes straight, stacking his stacks, and then he pops his E whenever the hell he wants, because there's literally nothing you can do about it, right? So that's my point, right? And I'm not saying that that's the only issue. I'm saying that if you feel as though you're losing because the enemy has battle mounts and you don't, then you need to understand that you've made a lot of errors before that happened. Before you died because of a battle mount, you made a lot of other errors that allowed that battle mount to have incredible potential. Unchecked potential, I should say. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Let's keep going. All right. So the Grove Keeper, you're gonna run the Q with the Pierce, right? The Q Pierce for Grove Keeper is very strong, very, very strong. You know, you can use it on the clump man, and that's like an extra Pierce. It's pretty harsh, to be honest. That Q Pierce is pretty strong for a Q. The W, you're gonna want the ring on Growth Keeper. You want the ring, and the reason why is because the ring is literally, in my opinion, the second best W in the entire game. Okay, the ring from the hammers. The first best W in the entire game is the firewall from the fire staffs, right? The second best W in the game is the ring from hammers. So you got to run that ring from hammer, okay? It's so important because it slows people down by 90%. That's massive, bro. That's massive. And it's like, oh, well, they can cleanse it or whatever. Yeah, they can. Make them cleanse it. Force them to use a cleanse to get through it, right? Regardless, at the minimum, it's going to make them slow down for a second, and then they're going to cleanse themselves, right? So that moment between them slowing down and them dropping a cleanse on themselves, at least that moment's going to buy you at least like what, half a second of time, right? It's beautiful. It's massive. It's also big. It's huge, right? It's huge. So it's gonna work. And I don't care where you put it. It's gonna work. I mean, there are obviously better ways to place it certain places better than others, but in general, anywhere you put it, it's gonna work. It's a massive donut. And then the E on the Growth Keeper is very strong. Why? Because it gives you mobility. So it allows you to just jump straight into the enemy. Think about Heavy Mace. The E doesn't jump you, right? So you have to use the W in order to jump where you need to like use your E at, and then you use your E. Whereas the Growth Keeper, you actually just jump straight into your E, right? So it's beautiful. Not only that, the E is actually a pretty long stun. Okay, the Growth Keeper E has the longest stun on the entire game. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know. But last time I checked, it is the longest stun in the entire game. Okay, now with CC resistant or CC reductions and diminishing returns and all that stuff, I know it's not super long, but it's still the longest stun in the game. So I mean, it's great. You should use it. Not only that, also it gives you a ton of resistances. It gives you like, what is it, like 254 resistance, something like that, 250. So anyway, it's absurdly high. I'll put it this way: in comparison, plate armor gives you 250 some resistances. Okay, on like physical resistances. Okay, so magical it gives you like 300. But anyway, yeah, I mean the E basically gives you double armor, basically, pretty much, right? So it makes you practically unkillable if you hit a few people when you actually do hit, which I assume you're gonna hit unless you're really, really bad with Growth Keeper. And so yeah, so the E actually works really, really well because it's mobility plus its resistances. The W is a massive slow. It's huge. The Q is a pierce, and it's the only pierce that you'll get outside of direct pierces, such as like a damnation pierce or a W, like a W curse spear pierce, or if like Spirit Hunter E, things like that, right? So outside of that, this is literally the only decent pierce in the entire game that you don't have to dedicate an entire role to being a pierce. So it's very high utility is what I'm saying. That's the main thing about Growth Keeper. This is why Growth Keeper is very strong. A lot of people don't like Growth Keeper because they changed it and they made it a cast and all that. Honestly, I think it sucks that they did that. I think they should revert those changes, but I still think it's very powerful. It just is. And it's also irreplaceable in the Zerg. You can't, there's nothing where you can say, okay, I don't need Growth Keepers, I need something else. Growth Keeper fills a role that is so crucial in a ZvZ. Yeah, I'll see you later, man. I appreciate you being here. All right, so the Grail Seeker. All right, give me a second here. Told you guys I had a cough every once in a while. All right, so the Grail Seeker is very, very useful. However, I think it's overused right now. Okay. The reason I say it's overused, the Q is okay. Let's go one by one. All right. So like the Q for the Grail Seeker is very strong because it gives you mobility and it gives you resistances. Right. I'm talking about the cartwheel. So the cartwheel is very strong. Actually, the cartwheel is actually very, very, very strong as a Q, and the reason for it is because not only does it give you mobility and it gives you resistances, it also is the only mobility in the entire game that allows you to move position while you are rooted. Okay, so if you're rooted and you use your Q, cartwheel, you're actually going to be able to move to a different location. Whereas if you try to use anything else, I mean, other than mercenary shoes, I guess, but that's a cleanse, right? I'm not talking about cleanses. I'm talking about just movement. If you use literally anything else, it's gonna make you blink, like basically like rubber band back into the place where you were. Okay. The Q cartwheel is the only one that doesn't do that. I don't know if that's by design or not, but that's the way it's always been, literally since the beginning of the game. So yeah, Grail Seeker mobility, very, very strong on the Q. The W, you can use several different Ws that are actually decent. The W stun run is actually pretty strong because you get to stun one person. I mean, it's okay, it's decent. But it also gives you a pretty good mobility boost, right? Like 30% movement speed. So remember, I told you, mobility is very important, right? And so having that mobility in the W is pretty strong. You don't want to use that. You can use Rising Blow. Rising Blow, you know, it's the one where it hits the ground and it knocks people up in a small area. It's a pretty small knockup, but hey, it's a knockup, right? And as a knockup goes, it's also technically an interrupt if you're able to knock people up. So yeah, the W Rising Blow is pretty good. There's also one more that is very, it's not used very often outside of castles, and that one is the Numbing Arms. It's called Numbing Arms. The W called Numbing Arms. So what it does is like you spin in like you spin around, right, like 360 degrees, and you basically knock back everybody around you, and you reduce their attack speed. Okay, and the only reason this is not used outside of castles is because during castles they're whacking the castle doors, and it'll slow down the speed at which they can hit the hammer on the door. Okay, however, or actually it doesn't slow it down, sorry, it stops, it completely negates it. I was thinking about the mob buff. No, it negates it. It stops people from auto attacking. So it helps a lot against you know, stopping enemies from hitting castle doors, because you use that on them and then they have to cleanse it. However, in open world, it's actually still very powerful. Okay, and most people don't use it. Most people don't use it for open world. They think it's shit. I think it's pretty decent, because think about this. With the Rising Blow, you're still going to have to knock them up, right? Knocking up is the same as knocking back, at least in the game's mechanics. Okay, you know, it's not the same, but it gets triggered the same way. Okay, so in the game's mechanics, the Rising Blow is an AoE that you kind of target in a direction, and then it bumps people up in that area, right? So if you are able to bump them up, you're actually able to interrupt them. Well, the same thing goes for the Numbing Arms. The Numbing Arms will spin in a circle. Here's the difference though. The spin is actually a bigger AoE than the Rising Blow. Okay, so that bigger AoE is going to knock people back. It's not going to knock them back too far, but it's going to knock them back, and that's going to cause them to get interrupted. So it works very similarly the same way. Okay, the thing about it is that it's a bigger AoE, and the only issue with it is that it basically pushes people in different directions. So you can push them away from you, right? And that's why people don't like it, is because they think that people will use it stupidly in the middle of a clump and basically help the enemy declump. As long as you don't use it stupidly, it is a good option. Now the E for Grail Seeker, and this is one that we actually have to talk about a little bit more, because the E for Grail Seeker is an E that is a double E. You can use it twice. It's a very long, long range route, right? Like it's a straight line, and it routes all the people in that straight line, and it actually stays there for like what, 2 seconds, something like that, 2.5 seconds maybe, and so it's pretty strong. It's very, very strong, right? It's unique. It's unique. The problem is that it's 20 seconds if you use it once, 40 seconds if you use it twice. Okay, now most people just end up using it twice, and I think that's a mistake. I think sometimes you can just get away with using it once, and it's kind of personality wise, you gotta figure it out when it's viable to be used one time, when it's viable to be used twice. Okay, don't just think every time you should be using it twice. Having a lower cooldown sometimes might help. Also, everybody runs Assassin Hood because it has a 40-second cooldown if you use it twice. You won't need to run Assassin Hood if you're only using it once whenever you need to, and then use it twice whenever you have to use it twice. Also, another thing about the Grail Seeker, actually I'll talk about this specifically later on, because it's better if you guys visualize it. But yeah, essentially the Grail Seeker is strong because it has a very long route, very, very, very long route. the AoE is very, very strong. The way it's designed, right? It's a straight line, so it's beautiful for kiting. It's absolutely beautiful for kiting. And it has great mobility with the Q. The W also allows for some sort of either mobility increase or an extra sort of like a interrupt. Okay, so Grail Seeker is very powerful. All right, let's move on to the armors. Now, give me a second here. All right, let's move on to the armors here. So, for the armors, we got the Judicator armor. Personally, I believe the Judicator armor is one of the best armors in the game right now, and it always has been. But I know a lot of people go back and forth with it. Some people think it's not good. Some people think it is. That's my own personal opinion. But anyway, Judicator armor is used with these weapons sometimes because it gives you a defensive, right? It's a good resistance, but it's also very big. It's a big area. We kind of talked about it yesterday, but it also gives you heal boost, right? The heal boost is actually going to be very, very important to ensuring your survival as well as the survival of your allies. So Judicator armor is a benefit to you, but it's also a huge benefit to the entire Zerg. Okay, it's not just helping you; it's helping everybody around you. Guardian armor makes sense with disengaged tanks because, especially with Growth Keeper, right? Your Growth Keeper, you're gonna go in, and also Heavy Mace. It also works for Heavy Mace. You're gonna go into the enemy with Heavy Mace and Growth Keeper. Grail Seeker, you're actually gonna be more on the sides, on the flanks of the enemy, right? So it doesn't make as much sense with Grail Seeker. But for Heavy Mace and Growth Keeper, it does make sense because you're gonna jump on top of the enemy, and then you can pop your Guardian armor on top of them to reduce their damage as well as reduce their speed. So Guardian armor makes a lot of sense. It also works as a personal defensive. Most people right now are using melee weapons. So if you use your Guardian armor and you get hit by a bunch of Demon Fangs, guess what? They're gonna have to stand inside your Demon armor to be able to hit you. So they're gonna hit you 50% less damage. Guardian armor is just all around very good for the meta right now, but so few people are actually using it. I don't understand why. Guardian armor is very strong. Duskweaver armor is the #1 best armor in the game right now. Duskweaver armor is this very large AoE radius where it purges all speed boosts, right? So boots, it purges all boots. And yeah, I mean, it's massive, man. It's massive. Duskweaver armor is great. The only problem is that the Duskweaver armor is actually it also gives you a slow, so that slow is pretty good. It's like 20%. But the only problem with Duskweaver armor is that you can't have too many of them in the Zerg. So you kind of have to coordinate with the rest of your Zerg and make sure that you don't have more than like 1, maybe 2 per party at most, because they will cancel each other out. But if you do have more than like 2 per party, then what you can do is just cycle them, make sure you don't drop them at the same time because you're going to screw each other over. So as long as you're working with your team with Duskweaver armor, it's incredibly amazing, right? Because you're backing up, and as a disengaged tank, guess what? The first thing the enemy is going to do to try to engage you is going to pop their sprints, right? So if you're right in front of them, between you are literally standing between the enemy and your Zerg, you just drop that shit, they're going to have to run through it. And if they run through it, they're going to stop sprinting. And when they stop sprinting, now you have time to stop them with your root, stun, W, Q, E, whatever it is that you're going to use, right? So it's incredibly amazing. Also, a lot of people are running Graveguard boots right now, and Graveguard boots make you invulnerable, immune to stuns, roots, and slows, right? So therefore, that means that in order for you to actually stun somebody or actually to root somebody, you're gonna have to purge their boots first. And to purge their boots, you can use that Duskweaver armor. After they get their boots purged, then you can drop a ring on top of them, or you can drop your stun, or you can drop your W, your snare charge on them, whatever the hell you want to do. But the Duskweaver armor is very, very important. Essentially, any one of the disengaged tanks can use it. Heavy Mace, Growth Keeper, Grail Seeker, they all can use it. It does work better with Grail Seeker because of the mobility, right? You can place the Duskweaver armor wherever you want because you have high mobility, but it works with everybody. The Knight armor also works really strongly with disengaged tanks. Why? Because it's your job, right? Your job is to make sure the enemy is not able to push you, right? So if you walk through a choke or something, or the enemy's trying to push through a choke, just drop a Knight armor on that choke, and suddenly everybody who doesn't have Knight Helm can't get through that choke. It's just that simple. So Knight armor is very, very strong. A lot of people don't use it anymore. People used to use it a lot more back in the day. People stopped using it. They think it's not as good. It's still very, very, very powerful, especially because many people don't use night helms. Demon armor and armor of valor. I know, so specifically mainly demon armor, but armor of valor too, I guess. A lot of people like to have, okay, I'll put it this way. A lot of guilds like to tell their Zerg that all their tanks need to have demon armor. No matter what. They say, you have to run demon armor, no matter what. It's like, that is so incredibly wrong. Okay, it's so wrong. The reason is because it doesn't make any sense. For you to use demon armor and use it appropriately where it's actually useful, you need to actually be in position inside your own Zerg to be able to pop your demon armor and then try to like reflect or give resistances to your allies, right? While you're inside your own Zerg when the enemy engages. Well, guess what? If you're a disengaged tank, when the enemy engages, your job is to stop the enemy from engaging, right? Or at least to disrupt them or slow them down, right? So if you're inside your own Zerg when the enemy is engaging, you're fucked up. You're just out of position, right? So therefore, using demon armor on disengaged tank absolutely does not make sense. There's no synergy there. You have to use things that make sense for you, okay? This is why I say Judicator, Guardian, Duskweaver, and Knight are the only things you should be using as a Grove Keeper, Heavy Mace, or Grail Seeker. All right, now for the helmets and boots, generally speaking, you want to use Night Helm. Night Helm is very strong because it allows you to get in and out of the enemy Zerg, right? If you're going in with like your E or your W with the snare charge, a Heavy Mace or something like that, you want to get back out. And how are you going to get back out if they're trying to like drop a bunch of like CC on you, or they're trying to knock you back or keep you from going backwards, right? Going back to your Zerg. Night Helm is going to help in that respect. However, they're looking to make a change to Night Helm and to take away the buff that it gives in regards to CC. And if they do that, Night Helm is going to become incredibly less powerful. All right, so we're going to have to take a look at how impactful that change is going to be, but I think it's going to be pretty impactful, especially for tanks. Judicator helmet is another option. Judicator helmet is very, very strong. Absolutely, very, very strong. Very, very useful because you're going to be inside the enemy most of the time. Therefore, you're going to get very high value out of your Judicator helmet. It's a large interrupt, but it's also like a little bit of a mini stun, right? So that mini stun helps out a lot to slow down a very large area of enemies from catching up to you. Remember, your goal as disengaged tank is simple. You want to slow down or completely stop the enemy from engaging, right? So adding an extra stun to your helmet actually makes a lot of sense for disengaged tanks. Hellion Hood is my personal favorite right now. Now, I will say something about Hellion Hood right now that it might it might prompt a fix from SBI. All right, but I'm letting you guys know this right now. I've kind of I've known this for a very long time now, and I've enjoyed it. All right, Hellion Hood says that it silences everybody in the smoke cloud. Okay, well, it's a lie. It doesn't silence everybody in the smoke cloud. That's not what it actually does. Okay, what the Hellion Hood actually does is that it silences everybody, including you, but nobody that is your ally. Okay? So, okay, let me make it simpler. It only silences enemies and people in your party, including yourself. That's it. Okay? So, essentially, Hellion Hood is broken as hell. All right, and it's been broken as hell for about close to 2 years now. All right, close to 2 years, a little over a year and a half. Okay, Hellion Hood is very, very powerful, and I'll tell you guys the truth. I'm saying it right now. I'm telling you guys the information I've had for a long time because I've been playing that. Right, I've been playing it for a while, and I haven't really told many people because I wanted to use that, but I'm letting you guys know right now on the stream what it is. Eventually, it's going to get out. I don't know if it's gonna get out because of this stream. I doubt it. We don't have too many viewers, at least not yet, right? So I don't think this comment is gonna get it out, but I think it's gonna get out eventually. So use it as long as you can. It's very, very powerful because it doesn't silence allies. And by allies, I also mean your own guild, as long as they're not in your party. All right, so very, very important, Hellion Hood. It's also very strong because it's a big AoE. It's a big silence AoE, right? So the AoE itself is very strong, but also because it gives you invisibility. As a Disengage tank, you're going to put yourselves in bad situations very often. And having that invisibility actually helps you get out very often, and it allows you to survive very often. I can't tell you how many times it saved me. So Hellion Hood is very, very, very powerful. I wouldn't use it with Grail Seeker. It just doesn't make as much sense. But with Growth Keeper and with Heavy Mace, absolutely, absolutely. Assassin Hood is another one that is used because people like having faster cooldowns and resetting their boots. Here's the problem with Assassin Hood, man. If you're gonna channel Assassin Hood, you're either gonna do it in the face of the enemy where they're gonna interrupt you, and if they don't interrupt you, then I guess they're not that good enemies. So I guess you don't really need the Assassin Hood anyway, because the enemy's not that good, right? But if you do it in front of a good enemy, then guess what? They're gonna interrupt you. So what you're gonna have to do is Assassin Hood. You're gonna have to walk back into your own Zerg as a Disengage tank. You're gonna have to walk back into your own Zerg, into the safety, and then channel your Assassin Hood, and then go back out. Well, what you did by doing that is you just walked away from the enemy. Now you're allowing them to be free to do whatever they want while they don't have one extra D tank in front of their face. Not only that, you just kept your eyes off of the enemy. They could be rotating, they could be changing direction, they could be getting prepared for an engage. You have no idea because you backed off. So you don't have as good a vantage point to look at them and what they're doing to prepare against their counter engage, right? Not only that, you're also having to sit there and channel for like 2 seconds. So you're also vulnerable because of that. Assassin Hood is just garbage. Okay, it's just garbage. Learn to play without Assassin Hood. That's the best thing I can tell you. Is learn to play without using Assassin Hood. You're gonna become a better player by doing so. Okay. For the boots, I love using Guardian boots, and people make a lot of fun of me because of that. They laugh at the fact that I use Guardian boots. I don't know why. The truth is, Guardian boots is very, very strong. It's honestly pretty OP. All right. The problem with Guardian boots is that you don't get a sprint. Okay. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, if you don't have a sprint, then you're going to fall behind. Guess what? I never fall behind. I never fall behind. And that's the truth. But that's because I've had much experience playing the game, which means that it's actually really hard to keep up with your Zerg if you don't know your positioning extremely, extremely well. So I don't recommend using Guardian boots for everybody. Here, give me a second. All right, I'm back. So I don't recommend using Guardian boots for everybody simply because you need to have a really, really strong feeling about your positioning. Okay, and your ability to move around the field and not fall behind. Okay, if you are not that skilled with your own positioning, then guess what? You shouldn't run Guardian boots. Instead, you should run Boots of Valor. Boots of Valor are actually really, really strong, very strong, especially for Disengage tank, because you get to proc it, and it gives you a very significant sprint, but it also makes you immune to stuns, roots, and slows. Okay, Graveguard boots also does that, but you don't have to proc it. So Graveguard Boot is a little more reliable in that aspect, but it's a lot slower. It's like 55% speed. So it's very slow. Either way, Graveguard Boots is very strong for this role. And generally speaking, any sprint, because you want to get out of the enemy, right? You're going into the enemy, you want to get out of the enemy. The enemy hates you as a Disengage tank because you're the one stopping all their damage. So they want to kill you. So using a sprint to get away from them makes sense. Quick Tech is asking, why not just Mercenary Boots? So the reason I wouldn't use Mercenary Boots is because Mercenary Boots teaches you bad positioning. All right, here's okay. There's a philosophy I have for playing this game. All right, if you make it easy on yourself, you're gonna become complacent, and when you become complacent, you're no longer going to grow as a player. All right, so think about this. If you have the money to run 8-4 Masterpiece to every single CTA that you ever go to. If you play for a year straight and do exactly that, you're not going to be a better player than somebody that went to a CTA, every CTA for a year straight, running 7 flat. He's actually going to be a lot better than you as a player. Why? Because hardship forces you to play better. Okay? It teaches you how to play better. So, how does Mercenary Boots affect this? Right? Back to your question, right? Mercenary Boots allows you to get away with bad positioning. Therefore, you're constantly going to play with bad positioning because you know that you're going to be bailed out by your boots. All right? But here's what I'm telling you. If you get better at positioning, better and better and better and better at positioning, suddenly you can add other things to your boots. I'll give you an example. If you are so good at positioning, you can run Guardian boots like I run Guardian boots, right? It's an extra gig. Having an extra gig is much more useful than just jumping out of harm's way every once in a while, right? Let's say you use Judicator boots, okay? Judy boots are actually pretty good for disengaged tanks, but no one uses them because they also require a higher level and understanding of positioning. So if you have good positioning, you can start using things like Judicator boots, all right? But Mercenary Boots bails you out, so it never forces you to learn positioning. Shouldn't you think it allows you to be more dangerous to the enemy and you can escape easily? No, not at all. You want to know what's more dangerous to the enemy? An enemy that doesn't get the fuck out of their face no matter what they do to him. I literally live inside the enemy when I play heavy mace with Guardian boots. They can't do anything. They can't push me back. I can stay inside of them as long as I want. Right? That is way more dangerous to the enemy than you coming in and out whenever you want. Because you know what they see? They don't see you as a person that just comes in and out. They see you as a person that gets away from them very easily. They think, in their perspective, they think, oh, look, it's very easy to push this guy away. So let's just push him away and then let's do whatever we want. Because he went away. You know what is very annoying for an enemy? Is when they have to see your face on top of them at all times and they know that they cannot do anything because you're literally right there. And that you're just waiting for them to make a move so that you can literally stop everything they're trying to do. I'll show you in the videos in a minute. All right, I'll show you in a minute. We'll get into it, right? But essentially what I'm saying is positioning is incredibly important. And using mercenary shoes, don't get me wrong, they're good boots. They are. But you can have a better kit. You can have a better gear set if you simply struggle and put yourself in harder situations and force yourself to learn how to play better rather than bail yourself out. This is why Clerical is not good, right? Clerical is not good. Why? Because Clerical bails you out of situations. Instead of teaching you how to survive appropriately with better situational awareness and mobility, you're just going and surviving and being bailed out by a Clerical, right? But they will engage on one person when fighting, for example, 30%. Yeah, that's the job of the D-Tank. They engage on me all the time. I'll show you. I'll show you the videos. Like I said, I have a couple of my videos that I'm going to show you guys, right? So I'll show you. Hold those questions, and then we'll talk about it more after I show you the videos. We're almost there, I promise. So after I show you the videos, we'll talk about it more, and then you can tell me if you still disagree with it. All right. The next part we're going to go into is the playstyle tips. All right, playstyle tips for disengaged tanks. So first playstyle tip I have to tell you guys, and this goes for everybody, but this is extremely important for disengaged tanks. If you do not do this as a disengaged tank, you're doing something wrong. Okay, you have to learn how to read the enemy. You have to understand what the enemy is doing at all times, because you cannot just wait until they're full engaging for you to try to stop them. It's too late. A good disengaged tank will literally see the enemy calls in their own head. They'll hear the 5, 4, 3, 2, right? You hear that in your head as a disengaged tank. If you don't, you're not reading the enemy enough. You got to learn how to read the enemy. Things that I can give you guys as tips about reading the enemy. Give me a second here. All right, so tips I can give you guys about reading the enemy. If all the enemies, like the entire enemy Zerg, moves in one direction at the same time, then it's probably going to be because the caller, the enemy caller, made a call, right? Whether that call is walk north, walk south, walk west, whatever, or whether that call is get ready to engage northeast, right? So if all the enemies suddenly move in the same direction at the same time, then you know for a fact that the enemy caller is making a move. Okay? That's important. Usually that move will be an engage is coming, right? So you better be ready to stop them. At the same time, though, don't just read the enemy. You also have to read your own Zerg. All right? Disengaged tanks do this all the time, where they just focus on the enemy so much and they completely forget that they are part of a Zerg. Don't do that. You have to pay attention to your own Zerg. What I mean by that is, if you see your Zerg getting clumped, like they're clumping on their own, right? Like they're just clumping in an area for whatever reason, next to a tree or something. I don't know. And your Zerg is just clumping for no reason somewhere. Then you know that the enemy's probably going to want to delete that clump, right? Because your Zerg made it easy for them, right? So therefore, you need to put yourself in a position to make sure that you stop the engage on that clump before it even happens. You already saw your guys clumping. You're like, oh no, that's dangerous. I gotta protect them. So you place yourself between them and the enemy. Right? Now, here's the thing. A lot of disengaged tanks do this very often where they mess up. They over disengage. There's such a thing as disengaging too much, okay? They disengage way too much. They over disengage, okay? What I mean is, a lot of people, they just go and try to stop the enemy and they use every skill they have just to stop the enemy because they're in desperation mode. Don't do that. You only need to stop the enemy as much as your Zerg is in danger. That's it. You do not, if your Zerg is clumped, yes, stop the enemy, do whatever you can. And then once your Zerg is no longer clumped, don't use anything else. Just let the enemy engage. Who cares? Let them engage. Why? Because they're not going to hit a clump. So maybe they'll kill one person. Okay, whatever. But you saved everybody else. Save your cooldowns for the next rotation or something, right? Do something else with your cooldowns, right? Cycling cooldowns is very, very important. And that's the next tip, is cycling cooldowns. Don't blow everything at once, because the enemy may be using more cooldowns, right? They may engage with one party, and then they may engage with another party, and then they may engage with the rest of their Zerg, right? Sometimes they engage with a bomb squad, then they engage with the main Zerg, and then they engage with another bomb squad, okay? So you need to be able to cycle your cooldowns. You cannot go and have no cooldowns up at all when the enemy is trying to engage. You're gonna fail. So try to mediate and moderate your cooldown rotations. All right. Here's another thing. You gotta hold the wall. All right. You know, like Game of Thrones, right? You know, Hodor is like Hodor, right? Like hold the door, right? You gotta hold the wall, man. Right? If your Zerg loses the wall, and by what I mean by a wall is I mean like a ridge that's next to you. Okay, like if you're fighting next to a ridge, or you're fighting next to the wall of the entire map, or you're fighting next to a wall in, you know, just like hills or hill walls or things like that, okay? Rivers, okay, those are all walls, right? If you lose a wall, if your Zerg loses control of a wall, it is very, very, very likely that your Zerg is going to lose control of the fight, okay? If you guys don't believe me, listen, I will talk about terrain and how important it is in a different episode, but I'm going to just lay it down very simply right now, okay? Control of walls in this game is so incredibly important. It can literally lead to a victory that is like 1-to-2 ratio. You have one guy per every 2 of theirs, or it can be the opposite. You can lose a fight because of that, simply because of walls. So disengage tanks, try to play the flanks and try to hold the walls. Don't let the enemy just walk up on those walls and take your angle from you. Okay, it's very important. Also, disengage tanks, do not forget to help your back line. If the enemy is inside of your back line, you need to walk back there and help them out, man. You cannot just go and be like, I'm gonna disengage, or like, I'm gonna hold this choke, right? And it's like, but there's already 100 dudes inside your Zerg, but you're like, I'm holding this choke. It's like, holding the choke doesn't matter. Your Zerg's already flooded, man. Walk back there and help them kite, right? Help them get rid of those guys that are inside of them. Do not let your Zerg rot from the inside. A clean back line leads to good CTAs, it leads to good Zergs, it leads to good fights, and usually it leads to wins. If you let the enemy inside of your Zerg easily and you don't do anything about it, most of the time you're just gonna lose. All right. Now, you always have to keep your eyes everywhere. Okay, as a disengaged tank, you have to have vision of everything going around. This means that you don't just look straight ahead at the enemy, you also look at the flanks, you look at the rear. You're always rotating, you're moving around, right? If you notice that you have a lot of disengaged tanks on the west side, and there's not a lot of disengaged tanks on the east side, then maybe you should rotate to the east side, right? And then if you're on the east side and then look around, suddenly there's like 5 disengaged tanks on the east side. Then guess what? That probably means that you don't have that many on the west again. So rotate back and forth to wherever you're needed. Don't just stand on one side and stay there the entire fight. That's the worst thing you can do. All right? Rotating is key. Reading the enemy is key. Reading your own Zerg is key. All right? These are all extremely important parts of being a disengaged tank. All right? So with that, we're done with the kind of lecture portion, right? We're gonna do VOD review now. All right. We're gonna be looking at the Heavy Mace, the Growth Keeper, and the Grail Seeker. We're gonna look at a couple videos for each of them. For Heavy Mace, I think we have 3. For Growth Keeper, we have 2, and Grail Seeker, we have 2. All right. We're gonna do some VOD review. We're not gonna review the entire videos. We're gonna just review pieces of the videos, right? And we're going to look at all the things that you can do as disengaged tanks, all the right things to do, all the wrong things to do. All right. So give me a second here. If you guys have any questions right now, drop them in the chat. I'll answer you guys, but I am getting ready for this video here. Give me a second. All right. So this is the first video. This is, there we go. All right. So this is the first video. This is back in season 14, I believe. No, it's like season 16, I think. Something like that. Yeah, it's like season 16. All right. This is when Take Care was like very, very strong. Okay. I joined Take Care and I was with them for a little while. Yeah, we were taking big fights. Now, this fight is against a guild called Press to Play. They were kind of like a rising Latino guild. Okay. They're pretty cool guys. Fun dudes. But yeah, this is a fight in a castle. Now, the dynamics of this fight is that we are holding the castle. Take Care is holding the castle. This is my, I say we because this is my perspective, right? This is my video. But yeah, we're holding the castle. We have like 15-16%, something like that, and the enemy has like 25%. So we are heavily outnumbered, but we are holding defensive in the castle. And so I'm wearing Heavy Mace. I'm wearing a Judicator armor, Hellion hood, and Judicator boots. Or sorry, not Judicator boots, Guardian boots. All right. This video is actually just a bunch of clips, okay? But because I know what happened, I can explain it to you. Usually I don't use clips because it doesn't tell the story. But because I was there, I mean, I remember it, I can explain it to you. Now, give me a second here. All right, let's get started.
2.
Oh, and by the way, the caller is Ellipsis. Ellipsis, he's right here, right? He's the caller.
1. Big club, hit this club, hit this club, hit this club. Nice, come back immediately. Come back immediately. Nice boost. That's what I'm fucking talking about.
All right, so I'm gonna explain to you guys why I did what I did there. All right, let's run it back. So here, the call is to engage on a clump here, right? Why do I stay inside the castle? And why don't I go out into the enemy? Why? Because I want to make sure I come out when I'm actually needed. There's no reason for me to come out and go and telegraph the engage even more, right? If they see a bunch of people coming out of that gate, they're gonna know, okay, well, you know, you're about to engage, right? So it's gonna make it harder for my Zerg to actually get kills. So that's why I wait, and then I'll show you.
2, 1. Big club, hit this.
So at this point, now that we're actually hitting, now I come out. Why? Because I want to make sure that I can either stop the enemy heals or enigmatics, whoever's trying to like save that clump, or B, I can stop their counter engage because we are all clumped right here, right? We're all clumped in the northeast side, on the northeast side of the bridge. So therefore, I don't want the enemy to counter engage right now and delete all of us. So I have to come out now, and I have to put myself to make sure I have to stop them.
Hit this club. Nice, come back immediately.
Now I found the first clump that I see, and I just go for it, right? I just root the first clump. Why? Because I'm not trying to do anything with angles here. This is pretty simple. If I stop this group here, then even if they do counter engage, this group and the group up there are going to engage, and then this group is going to engage 1 second later. Okay? So my point is not only to stop the enemy, but rather to just delay them so that I can stagger their engage so that they can't all hit at the same time. Sometimes just buying 1 second of time is enough to be the difference between the fallen healer being able to save the clump or not.
Come back immediately. Nice boost. That's what I'm fucking talking about.
What's up, 20?
Now I got knocked back, whatever. I mean, I went back in. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm gonna bomb again. All right, you guys ready? 3, 2, 1. Big fucking club. Hate this.
So see, the same exact strategy, right? The clump happened, I come out, and I go and instantly root these guys. Now watch the difference here. Because in the other one, they didn't quite counter engage right away, right? They didn't fully counter engage. They weren't ready. They weren't expecting it. This time they are, and they are actually trying to counter engage. Remember when I said, if you see all the enemy walking in the same direction, that's a tall tale sign they're engaging, right? Look, this guy, Gondi, where's he walking? Northeast. This guy, he's looking northeast. He's looking northeast. He's looking northeast. Looking northeast, right? All of these guys looking northeast, right? So what I'm saying is, when they all walk in the same direction, it's very likely that they're all getting the call to engage, right? So I jump in, I do the exact same play, but this time I stop, I root them, and then I silence them and watch what happens.
Hit this fucking shit.
Now look at this guy. He walked through. Some of these guys are already hitting the clump, right?
Come back.
Now, they actually did an engage. Look, this guy's running in there, right? He's a demon thing. He's running in there. There's another guy back here. He's sprinting in. Now, all of these guys are silenced because these are the guys I silenced.
Still, come back now.
And now I walk up with them, right? And now they're casting their E's, okay?
Come on now.
And I pop my smoke bomb in this area, right? So essentially, I ensured that this entire group of people was not able to do anything. Now, we still lost 1 or 2 people in this engage, but I did my job, right? I can't stop everybody. I can't do everything, right? I'm just one guy, right? You got to be reasonable, okay? I stopped as much as I could. I bought as much time as I could, and I cycled my cooldowns. Now I have to survive and get out.
You're gonna choke.
Now, instead of walking back northeast, why do I stay over here on the west? Well, first of all, it's because I pop smoke bomb, and smoke bomb gives me invisibility, right? That's what I told you about the strength of smoke bomb, right? Now, on top of that, if I walk straight east, guess what? I'm walking into their engage. Why would I do that? It's better if I just wait until they're finished engaging, and then I just walk back in safely and watch. That's what I'm gonna do.
Heal the choke, boys. Heal the choke. Just shout.
So I walked back in safely. Anyway, I was fine. The engage after that, I don't remember what happened, but I got caught off guard, so it was my own fault, and then I died, right? I regeared, I came back. By the time I came back, we were actually holding this next choke, and this is literally the moment I came back. I'm still on my horse, I'm getting back. So I just got back, and this is what happens.
Just shallow on the kidnap or who I kidnap, right? Just look at who I kidnap. Okay, come back. Quick back here. Guard in the door, please.
So here, I'm expecting a counter engage, right? My snare charge was preemptive. But I was expecting a counter engage. Why? Because we just engaged and failed. We didn't kill anybody. We didn't do anything. So some of our guys are exposed, and so I expect a counter engage, and this is why I did this. Watch.
Okay, come back.
So I'm standing here waiting for it. But see how I'm kind of trying to stand on the side, because I know they're gonna try to walk down here and go straight northeast, right? They're not gonna bother with 1 or 2 guys down here to the southeast. So therefore, I know that if I stand to the side, as soon as I see them walking up, I can snare charge them here.
Push back, please. Guard in the door, please. Guard
Now, I snare charged early. That was my fault. Definitely could have done that better. I should have held it, actually.
in the door, please.
But now I'm walking back, and now I see them starting to come.
Guard in the door, please.
And they actually grab me, right? And I instantly pop my Guardian Boots. Now, here's the difference. Remember, this is the conversation we were having right in the chat earlier, okay? You were talking about, well, isn't it better you just jump out? Okay, well, I can jump out, right? I can just jump out. And then what do? I save myself and that's it, right? But I don't go and save anybody else. That means that I jump out, I'm safe, and this flood can actually go and hit over here. I mean, granted, they're going to try to hit me, but they can hit all the way over there in northeast. I don't know exactly where they're going to hit. My job is to stop them, not to save myself. So instead, I pop the Guardian Boots, and I stay inside of them and watch what I do. Boom, smoke bomb. And look, some of them are going past me, right? Some of them are trying to engage north, right? So the fact that I was able to stay inside and survive allowed me to have the positioning to put a smoke bomb on the enemy and force them to come back.
Guard in the door, please. Give us on the door, please.
Yeah,
So now instead they have to choose to engage this one guy over here on the northwest, but they're so staggered because some of them tried to engage northeast, they couldn't. So now they're walking northwest. They're all scattered, so they're all engaging at different time intervals, and it allows the healers time to heal that guy.
Get back. You have to help these people get back.
See how that guy Deceit just got away with it, right? He was very low and he got away with it, right? I'll show you guys again. Look at this guy Deceit, right? Remember I told you, demon armor. It doesn't make sense, right? He's demon armoring. I don't know. Like, I guess this guy, like, it doesn't make sense. You're lowering your resistances, making yourself more vulnerable.
On the door, please.
So they're starting to hit him.
Yeah, help him look back.
And I pop my Judicator armor on top of them, right? So not only do I disengage this area, all these guys are smoke bomb. But I walk up here, I drop my Judicator to help them with resistances as well.
You have to help these.
And I use my Q to silence. This guy was about to hit him. And I use my Q to silence him, right?
People get back.
And they get away because I bought time. Not because I completely stopped the enemy, but because I bought time, right? This guy's now getting topped off. He's getting healed. And it's going to be the recurring thing. This is why I'm mentioning it, right? Because it's going to be a recurring thing over and over and over. Watch.
On 3, 2.
So this is another engage, right? We're actually engaging. We're grabbing this group. We're going to try to engage them.
1.
I pop my Guardian Boots, right? And I walk straight up here. I use my Smoke Bomb because our engage failed. I want to buy time. See how I'm not using everything at the same time. I'm using one thing at a time. And then the next thing. And then the next thing, right? Slowly.
Yo, range bomb only, please.
Now they're coming in, right? After my Smoke Bomb, look, 5 seconds. Boom. The Smoke Bomb is pretty much gone. It's about to be gone. It's about to disappear. Now they're all coming in.
They're coming in.
So I'm positioning myself here in the north where now I can silence this entire area around me, right? So boom, I use my E, I purge, and I silence. Look at the damage that they're dealing on my Zerg, and look at the health bars of my Zerg. Look at the party, look at the health bars, okay?
Save the knight. Heal 4. Heal Carol.
Slovak and TC Markelov, 2 tanks, lost about 30 to 40% HP. Everybody else, no damage at all.
Heal Carol 4. He'll step up and use all 4 on your sage. Just heal Carol 4. Yeah, you're good. Cool.
See that's the same. That's the exact point of a disengaged tank. This is why, even though this is a clips video, this is exactly why I wanted to show it to you guys, because it demonstrates exactly my point about what you're supposed to do as a disengaged tank, right? This is what I was telling you about. Guardian Boots is so strong, but it's only available to people who have great positioning. If you use something like Mercenary Shoes, you're never going to allow yourself to have great positioning. You're never going to get to the point where you can use Guardian Boots, okay? That's the point. This is the strength of having Guardian Boots. See, again, I'm standing to the east, right?
Look at the door.
Same play. They're grabbing the players, right? Same play.
Door, look at the door, hit this.
I snare charge again to buy time and also to interrupt, to try to interrupt these enigmatics, right? Because I can help. I can try to help with the kill, right?
Come back. That's too far. Come back.
They bonk me back.
Come back.
I walk back in, smoke bomb, right? Look again. Look at the HPs. Look at the HPs.
Pop resis.
Heals as well.
Completely fine, right? The entire Zerg completely fine, except for the C. But he's a D tank. He's with me up here, right? We're the only ones taking damage. Why? Because we're not giving the enemy literally any chance to engage at all.
He'll proceed forward. He'll count on forward. Go forward. He's on forward. Go forward.
And by the way, I use double gig right there. I use the Guardian Boots and I use the gig pot, right? And I'm surviving with 700 HP. That's the strength of it. And by the way, this is like in people that have played with me a lot, they always say how I'm basically always dying, but I never actually die. Now, I do actually die, right? Obviously, I fucking die. But people always say that, like, I always look like I'm dying, but I never actually die. It's because I have double gig, right? So my HP always gets this low, but I usually get out, right? That's my point. Like right now, I have my snare charge up. I could easily panic, right? I can easily panic back here, right? Or back here, right? Maybe I'm silenced right now, whatever. But I can easily panic and just be like, oh, snare charge away, right? I know it's in cooldown, but 2 seconds later, right? But I don't. I just chill. I just walk out because I know I'm gonna live.
Go forward. He's on forward. Go forward. Go Carol.
Back.
Heal me and Carol on the door, please. Heal me and Carol on the door. How the
All right, so this is another one. All right, this is almost towards the end here. We're basically doing the same thing over and over.
fuck are they night having?
Okay, ready, go.
So they're coming in on us actually this time before we came in. They're coming in on us, so I snare charge them in.
Ready.
They grab me because at this point they know they have to kill the disengaged tanks because they can't get any damage on anybody else. So now they literally are targeting me. Well, guess what? If they're targeting me, then I'm still doing my job, right? Because my job is to make sure they don't hit my Zerg. My job is not to stop them from engaging. My job is to stop them from killing my Zerg. So if they're only hitting me and maybe another D-tank that's with me, then I'm doing my job, right? That's the point.
Yo,
So here they grab me, I smoke bomb instantly. I just smoke bomb and all these guys are smoke bomb.
Heal them stuck outside.
And then I walk up northwest to the area where the smoke bomb did not reach. And I go and silence these guys up here. Again, it's a trend. It's a trend.
Oh, wait. Tupac's pump on the door. See ya.
Again, coming in from the east, I see them all running. Look, all these guys are all running northwest. There's no way that's a coincidence. That's a call.
Come back. Yo, Tupac.
So I jump on them, snare charge. I go and I use my purge and silence. Now, give me a second here.
It's a combo, brother. Come back. Heal forward. I have men stuck outside the door. Heal forward. Heal Caron. Nice. Nice.
Bottom back.
3%. Listen, I'm gonna bomb the game one more time. You ready? Three, 2, 1. Big bomb on the door, please. Big bomb on the fucking door, please. Big bomb on the fucking door, please. Big bomb with the fucking. board, please.
Yo, Chovy's dead, Chovy's dead.
Hold.
Chovy's dead,
Chovy
Chovy's
dead.
dead.
Hold, they're gonna counter. One last time. Heal the door. Heal the door. Resist punch. Resist punch. Okay, we're gonna full push down. Please, big bomb on the fucking door, please. Big bomb on the fucking door, please. Big bomb on the fucking door, please.
Yo, Chovy's dead, Chovy's dead.
Chovy dead. Hold, they're gonna counter. One last time. Heal the door. Heal the door. Resist punch. Resist punch. Okay, we're gonna full push down. Full monkey push southwest. Everyone click out.
Stop it.
Full monkey push southwest. Full monkey push southwest. Full monkey push southwest. Walk into it. Full monkey push southeast. Full monkey push. Full monkey push, boys. Southeast. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full monkey push. Full monkey push. Let's go.
Hay muchas bendiciones que me faltan. Necesito tu paciencia. Hablando rico, hablando caro, con mi mente clara. Hay muchas bendiciones que me faltan. Necesito tu paciencia. Hablando rico, hablando caro, con mi mente clara. I don't feel depression. I get to that check quick. My niggas wanna test me, wow. They cannot be less lit. I come from that left side, won't move without discretion. These niggas from that block come for that top if you're not careful. But shawty make that dress fit. She doing something special, say she like to take direction. We both knowing what I said it, so I'm threaded on 11. These boys ain't got the leverage when they come to you, you know I set the tone when I'm in it. Yeah. That was child thug from the bottom of the sinkhole. You can find me at the end of that pre-roll. Shawty record her thrills on a cell phone. I'm in a moment, I ain't worried about that B-roll. You know I'm on you. Let me get that mood boost. Fall through when the sun go down. I could tell you want me to. I just touched down in the town. Let's go OT to you OD. All these blessings at my feet, I want for anything.
Hay muchas bendiciones que me falta. Necesito tu paciencia. Hablando rico, hablando cara, con mi mente clara.
Hay muchas bendiciones que me faltan. Necesito tu paciencia.
Hablando rico, hablando caro, con mi mente clara.
Tu paciencia.
Con mi mente clara. Hay muchas bendiciones que me faltan.
Tu paciencia.
Ya yo me voy de aquí, siempre voy a volar. Con nadie me comparo, eso es ilegal.
Okay. Yo, look southeast here. Quick engage southeast, okay, guys? Southeast, 3, 2, yo, on the southeast, boys.
Con nadie me comparo, eso es ilegal. Se acabó el show y ahora vienen criticar.
Delete it. Go deep. Fucking delete it, and come west. Be ready for.
Hey yo, hablando muy carito, yeah, I'm talking heavy spice. Un poquito de mi salsa leave you feeling really nice. Estoy caliente, simplemente estoy caliente. Sobreviviendo, mami, tú sé que yo lo haga. No me hagas.
For defense, be ready for defensive, guys, okay? Spread.
Estoy caliente, simplemente estoy caliente. Dale.
Hay muchas bendiciones que me faltan. Necesito tu paciencia. Hablando rico, hablando caro.
Spread west. Careful now. Defensive in the front. Defensive in the front. Defensive in the front. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Look southeast now. You walk into them southeast, guys. Walks into them southeast. Walk into them southeast, guys. Walk into them southeast. Okay, deep, deep, deep. East side, 3, 2, 1. Yo, near the bridge, near the bridge. You delete that shit, boys. You delete that shit. That's a fucking healer line. That's healer. That's healer line. Keep walking southwest now. You keep walking southwest. Apply the pressure southwest here. Yo, defensive tanks on my northeast, okay? Be careful of this bridge. Be careful of this bridge. Be careful of this bridge. They might turn. They might turn. They might turn. Romans Venus, get back. Get back. Get back. Get back. Get back.
Yo, can you guys hear me? Yo, can you guys hear me? I don't know how long I had it off. That's my bad, bro. Because I coughed, so I muted the mic. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna explain to you guys again. I assume it was just this video because the other one I think it was after. Yeah. You guys heard everything from the first video, right? I think you guys did. A bit before the end of the last video. Oh shit, that sucks. Oh well, I mean, there's nothing I can do. Anyway, we gotta move on. Either way, I kind of explained everything I wanted for that video. The end, it was just the end. All right. I appreciate you letting me know. All right. So for this video, this is Heavy Mace running the Dustweaver armor, Hellion Hood, and Graveguard boots.
Quick engage southeast, okay, guys? Southeast, 3, 2. Yo, on the southeast, boys. Delete it. Go deep. Go deep. Go deep. Go deep. Go deep. Fucking delete it. Delete it. Delete it. Delete it. And come west. Come west. Come west. Come west.
So here he snare charges this group. He doesn't really have to. This group is not doing anything. They're not really looking to engage. Remember, I told you guys, they all kind of look in one direction, right? When they're all going to engage. Like this guy's looking northeast, this guy's looking northeast, this guy's looking south, this guy's looking southeast, right? They're not really telegraphing that they're going to engage. It's not a bad route, but it's not a good one either, right? If anything, he could have routed this guy's over here on the west instead, because these guys are on the flank. They can flank the west, his Zerg from the west, okay?
Be ready for defense. Be ready for defensive, guys, okay? Spread west, spread west, spread.
So remember, I told you guys, wasting a lot of things, right? This guy goes, he uses it E for no reason. Then he's using his Dustweaver for no reason. Nobody's sprinting, right? Like everything he's doing, he's just throwing everything out for no reason. You guys have to think about every skill, when to use it and why to use it.
Spread west, spread west, spread west, spread west. Careful now. Defensive in the front. Defensive in the front. Defensive in the front. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Look southeast now. You walk into them southeast, guys. Walks into them southeast. Walk into them southeast, guys. Walk into them.
So here, this snare charge is actually really good. The reason is because he knows they're gonna walk through east and they're gonna clump right here. So he wants to stop them from moving and grouping up with his Zerg. This is actually a really strong snare charge. The only thing is that they end up going west and east, but either way, that splits the enemy Zerg, right? So he did a really good job in disengaging here. He's not really disengaging, but more managing the enemy Zerg's movement. That's actually part of also disengaging.
Southeast, okay? Deep, deep, deep. East side, 3, 2, 1. Yo, near the bridge, near the bridge. You delete that shit. You delete that shit, boys. You delete that shit. That's a fuck.
So now these guys went east, far east. They're popping sprints, running away. He needs to rotate west as soon as possible, and he does. He's gonna use his Graveguard boots as quickly as possible and his snare charge to try to get back in position quickly.
Healer line. That's healer line. That's healer line. Keep walking southwest now. You keep walking southwest. Apply the pressure southwest here. Yo, defensive tanks on my northeast, okay? Be careful of this bridge. Be careful of this bridge. Be careful of this bridge. They might turn. They might turn. They might turn. Romans Venus, get back. Get back. Get back. Get back. Get back.
So here, look. Remember, telegraph, right? This guy's looking northeast. This guy's kind of looking northeast. This guy's looking northeast. This guy's looking northeast. Look, northeast, right? They're gonna engage, obviously, right? So he pops his gig. He doesn't have to, but I don't blame him. I mean, it's okay. He's being safe. That's fine. He's using his E right here in the mouth of the choke. Beautiful, right? He should also pop his Dustweaver armor here.
Back, go back. Yo, they're looking now. They're looking now. Defensive now. Defensive now.
There's the Dustweaver armor. It's a little late, but it's okay.
Oh, boys, defensive.
Now, here. he already stopped most of everything. He does not need to use his Hellion Hood here. He should save it. Instead, he does use
Now,
it.
defensive right now. Defensive right now. Walk southwest now. You walk southwest now, guys. Walk southwest.
That's a good snare charge, making sure they don't get out so that the counter can be strong.
Southwest. Southwest. 5, 4, 3, 2. Yo, you delete southwest. You
Look at that. They're playing off of his snare charge, right? Because he had the vision that he knew this is going to happen next, so he played it.
fucking delete southwest. You delete that shit, boys. You delete this. You delete this.
And that's it. I'm not going to play more of this video. There's other fights in this video, but essentially this is the end of the first fight, right? So that's all. I only want to show you guys little bits of each fight. I just wanted to make sure I took my time with the first one to explain all the concepts of D-Tanks in general, but specifically for Heavy Mace. So anyway, that's it for this video. Like, there were some good things, there were some bad things, right? But we can move on to the next one. And again, if you guys got any questions, let me know. And I told you guys, man, listen, I knew that at some point I was gonna forget about putting the microphone back on. It just hadn't happened. I'm actually surprised I went through a month and a half of doing streams without it happening. But you know what? It happens. It's okay. You guys didn't miss much, I promise. Like, I was kind of just going over the same things. All right, so this now is a Growth Keeper video. All right, this Growth Keeper video using Guardian armor. He is using Cleric Cow, which is terrible. I do not condone this usage of gear sets in Albion. All right, but that's what he's using, and he's also using the Hunter Shoes Sprint. All right, so let's see how he does.
And they want to take it open.
Yo, Maddie, I can't save you, bro. Why are you there, bro?
So the caller here is Meta Abuser. I know a lot of you guys have heard of him. He's a cool guy.
Let's stay inside the castle.
So here he puts the ring. He really doesn't have to. It's a waste. Honestly, it's a waste. His Zerg is safe, right? Only disengage when you need to, right? He doesn't need to do anything here. There's no reason for that ring. It's okay, I guess, if you want to be preventative, but yeah, it's he should have kept the cooldown.
I'm gonna look southwest directly on top of the front line in a second, okay? Just hold inside the castle. Listen, look southwest on the front line in 3. Wait, hold. Southwest on the front in 3, 2.
See how he's calling an engage, and Sugoi here is not telegraphing the engage for him. He's just staying back here. He's acting like, oh no, we're not about to engage. He's doing a really good job of deception here, right? This is very important for disengage tanks, because disengage tanks, we are on the face of the enemy. We have to make sure that we don't give away and telegraph our engages, man. This is actually a really good play for him.
1, southwest on the front line, just on this grail,
Look, he's walking just to see what's the enemy gonna do about this.
And you're back northeast in 3, 2, 1, pull northeast there. Yo, come on, man.
So now he sees, remember, telegraph, right? This guy's looking northeast, this guy's looking northeast, this guy's looking northeast, this guy's looking northeast, right? They're all clumping like hell in a straight line, right? It's textbook, they're engaging, right? Look for these things. It's so important. It's the first thing you need to learn as a disengaged tank, is understanding when the enemy is coming to engage. So he comes, he goes and stuns them.
What was that? That was a weak effort of
Beautiful stun, instantly goes into the Guardian armor. Remember I told you, it makes sense, right? The Guardian armor is gonna be, you're already inside of them. Guardian armor is gonna work great.
engage. Listen, get inside the castle. Watch the counter. You're fine.
Now he uses a ring as well to slow them down. That's still fine. It seems to be a little overkill, but it's okay. I don't mind the overkill a little bit here.
You're fine.
Now at this point, he just walks back. He needs to walk back because he saved his Zerg. All right, walk back.
Let me switch the horse, man.
He didn't need to use a sprint. Like, this is what I tell you guys. Like, you know, if he had Guardian Boots right there, it would have been better. He would have had a Guardian Boots. Like, he doesn't need a sprint right there. In that scenario right there, he doesn't need a sprint. He doesn't need the Guardian Boots either. I'm just saying, like, he doesn't need to use the sprint.
Do we have a Hodge? Okay, listen, yo, just stop them from hammering. I'm gonna switch weapons. Yeah, let me get off combat. Listen, just chill for now. Just chill for now. We're not engaging, boys. I'm switching weapon. Yo, call out in case they're engaging.
They're coming.
They're saying they're coming because they saw a few people going straight northeast, right? A few people. Now, not all of them. And this is why disengaged tanks, you have to pay attention. Now, I think that Sugoi here did something really wrong. Looking back, look at how the enemy's encroaching. Look how close they are. But they're ignoring him. They're not auto-attacking him, queuing nothing. Why? Because they're focused on their engage. That's another tall tale sign. If you're a disengage tank and you're close to them enough for them to hit you with Qs, Ws, and auto attacks, and they're not doing it, it's probably because they're focusing on getting the next engage off. So right here, remember that preventative like W? It would be good to have a preventative W here. Like now, especially when you see some Night Helms pop for no reason. I don't know if that's an Night Helm. It looks like a Night Helm. Yeah, it is an Night Helm, right? So it's like when you see that kind of shit, it's like there's only one reason for it, right? There's probably a countdown coming. You should drop a W.
I'm switching weapon. Yo, call out in case they're engaging.
Now they're coming in, right? That W maybe would have been a little early, or maybe it would have been on time. Either way, it's not. You're not stopping anything right now.
They're coming.
You gotta send defensive. No. Save your CDs.
Now this is preemptive. This is way preemptive. This, I think he got a little. I don't know. He got excited. Look, this guy's looking north. This guy's looking east. This guy's looking west. This guy's looking northeast. This guy's looking north. This guy's looking west. Right? I don't know what he saw that he decided to use his E here. I have no idea. Right? This is why I tell you guys. Practice reading the enemy.
Save your CDs. Listen, I'm gonna have CDs back up in 5 seconds, okay? We're gonna look west on the front line in a second, okay? Just hold.
He even used his gig pot or resist, whatever it is. I think it's gig. And then he sprinted away. He got scared. I don't know what he's doing. Again, he's doing some good plays and some bad plays. Right? That's the point, is that you need to pay attention to what the enemy is doing and then respond to the enemy. Don't just go and waste everything just because you think the enemy is about to engage. I don't know. Like, use one thing and then wait, see what happens. Then use another thing, and then wait, see what happens. Use another thing, right? Don't just blow everything in one go. All right, let's watch another video for Grove Keeper. The next video is a guy named Copex. Oh no! He turned the video private. Listen, I wrote these up months ago, man. And so sometimes this would happen. It is what it is. We'll move on to the Grail Seeker. Grail Seeker, this is on Dial. I think it's Dial chat. No, it's not. No, it's Dokkan. I think the other one is gonna be. Yeah, this is Dial chan. Hold on. Yeah, Dial chan. This is a really nice guy. I got to meet him. And I got to help him out how to play D-Tank and stuff, but I think this video was before I ever helped him out or anything, so he was already pretty good, but really nice guy. Anyway, here he's playing with facts.
Towards this area. They are on this.
I'm gonna turn off the volume because the music, I can't play the music. So he's just looking west here. His Zerg is perfectly safe. There's nothing you have to do here at all, right? Just stay back. Let the enemy walk in a little bit, right? So we'll scroll it forward. Now they decided to take this open world. So here's when they go open world and they're chasing straight south. I believe what's happening is they have allies on the field and they're flanking the enemy right now. Okay, if I remember correctly, that's what's happening. And Dazrun is the one that's calling. Remember, I think it was like VOD review 3 or 4. We looked at Dazrun calling and he was doing pretty good. So there he uses his rising blow, right? Nothing heavy. He's a disengaged tank, but hey, he's trying to help CC the clump a little bit for his allies. That's totally fine. Doing a little bit of help to clumping sometimes is useful. Now that I don't know what the hell that was. That knight armor, it must have been a misclick or something. It was I have no idea what it was. No, I'm gonna speed it forward. I don't know where. Hold on. Ah, there it is. There it is. All right. So there, the enemy southwest, they're northeast. All right, let's look at here. So the enemy is all walking northeast. Look at that. Northeast, northeast, northeast. Also, another thing that I want you guys to understand and learn, look at the name tags. You don't have to look at their character moving northeast. You just have to look at the name tags. Look at these name tags. Remember, Diao Chan here is staying around the same place, right? Let's roll it back a few seconds here. Look at these name tags on the south. I just want you to look at these name tags on the south. You see how they're all walking east here? And now they're walking west a little bit and walking east. That gives you a key as to what they're doing, right? You don't have to just look at their character. Now, looking at their character is better, obviously, because you can directly see what they're doing. But if you can't, at least using name tags to be able to see them do this, this is very important. So here he's using the wind wall. Now, one thing about the wind wall and also the Grail Seeker, you want to use them to extend natural barriers in the map. Okay, so the natural barrier here is this rock. There's another natural barrier, is this tree. So what he's doing is he's putting the wind wall in between these two to force the enemy to go all the way around both obstacles, right? Try to do this as much as possible. If it's not between two things, just put it next to one. If there's this, just put it next to this, right? Next to that rock. And then wind wall them southwest here. It's perfect. You're keeping them from engaging on you, right? Look, they're engaging right now. They have a camland on there, right? So he's doing a great disengage job here. He doesn't have his E up. And that's fine. Sometimes you won't have all your cooldowns up. That's fine. But he's using his wind wall here appropriately to stop this side from engaging, or at least make it harder where they have to rotate around this. Look at all those guys he's knocking back. See, and now that brimstone, instead of dropping over there on clumps, he has to drop over here. Oh my god, he does a massive amount of damage, doesn't he? That's crazy. This guy would have hit that clump over there, he would have killed everybody. My god, he would probably beamed. So here the enemy's just walking northwest. They're backing off. Again, they're getting flanked, right? They're getting flanked on this entire video. I don't think I can pull too much more out of this one without like watching it for a long time. So let's move on to the next one. The next one is Grostadluft. This guy has been hopping around different guilds. He actually has a channel that on YouTube that he puts a lot of videos on. All right. So definitely like follow this guy, Grostadluft. If you want to see more videos, this guy plays usually D-Tank or support. And he's a pretty good player. He's not amazing, but he's a pretty good player. So you guys can learn some stuff from him. We can play it from him. We'll use the comms this time. Alright, so Grail Seeker again, right? Knight Armor and Assassin Hood this time. Look at that, cartwheel for mobility.
지금 콩님 이 파티 앞에 탱커한테만 얕게 칠 준비. 지금 이 파티 앞에 탱커한테 저겁차 저겁차 지금 앞에 탱커 이 파티만.
So here he's rising blow on this guy, on this Grail Seeker. Why? Because this Grail Seeker just dropped his first E. He's gonna want to drop another one. So he's helping his Zerg not get rooted by the second E by simply using a rising blow on him. This is beautiful. Now the enemy's coming in. Look how he uses. He positions himself and puts a straight E across right here and stops everything. Now he could have put it over here. It would have been totally fine. But this angle is also really good, right? So whatever angle works for you, as long as you're going across the enemy movement. So what I say for Grail Seeker is very important. If the enemy is moving, let's say east to west, right? In this direction, east to west, right? They're moving east to west. You want to cut them in half and use your Grail Seeker north to south. If the enemy is going north to south, you want to cut them in half and go east to west with your Grail Seeker, right? So here the enemy is moving southeast to northwest, aren't they? So he's using a southwest to northeast cut, right? And this is beautiful. Look at all that. And then his second one, he's going to use it over here. Now, I am not a fan of this. I am not a fan of this. So many people tell the Grail Seeker players to do this. They use one Grail Seeker in one direction, one Grail Seeker in another direction. Don't do this. It's better if you use it here, wait a second, and then drop it in the same exact place again. Why? Because you're going to then secure that these guys can't get through. Okay? Don't drop it one way and then another way, because then everybody's going to get through on both sides by a simple cleanse. Here, even if they cleanse it, you still get to root them again with that second root. Focus on a smaller group rather than try to get everybody. Either way, it's still good. I mean, the chokes are beautiful. He pulls back, uses his sprint, and look, he's all the way back to his Zerg. He's safe, and he stopped everything.
전환 준비. 노스 쪽 걸어. 지금 계단으로 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 지금 1파트 계단에.
So here it's like he doesn't really need to do anything. He should use his assassin hood. I mean, I don't like it, but if you have it, use it.
1파트 지금 계단에.
Same play again, right? He sees a D tank. He's gonna go and try to. He's gonna try to rising blow him again.
빼야 돼. 여기 아치도 다시 올라오고 있어.
아까 왔던 길로 왔던 길로 여러분 아까 왔던 길 막았어요.
아치
아까
하이드.
왔던 길 언덕 아래 아까 왔던 길 있어. 쪽으로 가. 스웨스트로 올라와야 돼. 이거 깊게 들어가면.
Alright, so here comes all the enemies. Look how far ahead he is of his Zerg. This is fine, especially for a Grail Seeker, because you need to be close to the enemy to stop them from walking into your Zerg, right? But also, you have a lot of mobility with that cartwheel. Use it. Use the mobility. Extend yourself a little bit more. As a heavy mace player, I can't play this far ahead because I don't have as good mobility as the Grail Seeker. Look at that. Boom. He gets shot, uses a cartwheel Q. Look at that mobility. Gets him completely out of both the Damnation and the Siege Bow. And it gives him speed boost and it gives him resistances. And then he's using this. Now, I think he's not in a great position for the E. He should have used the E a little bit earlier, but it's not bad. Look, he's extending from the wall. The wall's right here. It would have been better if he did it from here northeast, but it's okay. He's extending the wall. See that? Right from the wall all the way, forcing them to go all the way around one side. They can't go around east or west and around. Look at that. Beautiful. Double root on the same people. The only problem here, he should have waited half a second to a second more, right? Don't get impatient. Don't just pop. Do the first one. Wait. Do the second one. All right? Don't just pop everything at the same time.
Okay.
Right here, he should just walk back. Like, honestly, like, he just needs to sprint back. Like, the enemy's no longer engaging. By staying around, he's ensuring that the enemy's going to target him now. He really needs to just get out. He needs to pop a sprint. He's here, and look, he turns around. His Zerg is now in his screen, right? They're northwest. So he knows, okay, there's my Zerg. I can turn around and disengage again. So he does the Knight Armor. Beautiful play here. Like this guy's playing very, very well. There's some things that he could do better, but he's playing really well as Grail Seeker. And again, look at that wind wall, right? Extending this wall. Extending that wall all the way down here, right? Again, you want to extend the walls.
노스웨스트로 계속 카이팅 할 거야. 노스웨스트로 계속 올라. 지금 노스웨스트로 달리기 켜. 전부 다 달리기 켜.
Look at that. Pops his sprint and he catches up to everybody. Because the mobility on Grail Seeker is insane, man. Like, so many people underestimate how good that cartwheel is.
알아. 웨스트로. 웨스트로. 아까 스태틱 쪽으로 갈.
Alright, we're gonna watch one more engage and then we're gonna be done.
온다.
스태틱 쪽으로 다시
위쪽 제가 막았어요.
이스트로 5, 4, 3, 전부 다 이스트.
Now, I don't like this at all. I do not like this at all. This is an engage. They're engaging. Their Zerg is engaging the enemy. There's no reason to do this. Look, there's a big flank southeast, man. You should cartwheel southeast and watch them. Make sure that they don't do this. That they don't flank you.
이스트에서 더 와요.
Look at that. They're coming in now. I literally just said it, right? Now, he has his second E and he's going to use it. But man, that's fucking luck. That's absolute luck. That first E is so bad. He should have already been here. And he doesn't even use it properly. Remember, I told you. Extend the wall, right? There's this wall here. He's standing over here. Extend the wall. Extend the wall across this way. Instead, he uses it linearly. Remember, the direction the Zerg is moving is southeast to northwest. Right here, right? Southeast to northwest. So he should be using his E southwest to northeast. But instead, he uses it west to east, direct straight line. So he could have rooted all these people. Instead, he only roots these guys. Now the rising blow there was good. And the wind wall is good too. He's pushing them back off, right? And look, that wind wall extends from that boulder there. It extends again. So everything very, very good except that first E.
이스트 막고 있어.
스태틱으로 들어갈게.
Look, he's getting damaged and he's still stuck through it until his Zerg is backed off.
스태틱으로 들어갈게요. 스태틱으로.
Cartwheel again gives him mobility, gives him speed, and gives him resistance.
스태틱으로 들어갈게.
And he's back out, right? Anyway, that's it for today. All right. I don't want to show too much. I'm gonna let it play just while we talk here, but yeah, if you guys got any questions at all right now, drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm gonna close it up. I'm sorry about earlier, not hitting that microphone button, but you know what? It was bound to happen at some point. At least you guys let me know. I appreciate you guys letting me know. But yeah, it was bound to happen at some point, man. It is what it is. Right now I'm sick, so I'm coughing. So that's why I'm muting the microphone and stuff. But it's okay. All right, I'll give you guys a minute or so to ask any questions if you guys have any. Otherwise, we're gonna close it up. All right, so next stream is gonna be on Monday. We're gonna be VOD review Monday, right? VOD review Monday. After that, we're gonna continue on Friday and Saturday. We're gonna be doing the other ones. I can show you guys the schedule right now. Right there. So Friday and Saturday is gonna be range DPS and then melee dot DPS, right? So we're gonna get into the DPS side of things. It's gonna be fun. All right, so make sure you guys are there, especially if you're a DPS player. If you guys like the content, follow, subscribe. If you guys want to, I appreciate you guys. And make sure you guys share the videos and stuff. Yeah, let people know. Help me get this information to the community. All right. The more people that are learning ZvZ and getting better, the better fights there will be out there in the open world for us to learn and to get better and to progress. Right. The better fights is better for everybody. So yeah, man, I'm trying to do something different, right? At Fury, I'm trying to do something different, man. Like everybody's out there just streaming them playing the game. I don't want to stream myself playing the game. I'd rather stream, you know, the stuff I've learned in the time I've played, and I'd rather teach you guys this and you know, make sure I kind of leave something for the community. You know, that's all it is. I look back and watch your streams. Yeah. I have a YouTube channel. You can scroll down on Twitch. I have the YouTube link right there. I also have a Discord. The Discord is not super active, but you know, it's there. Eventually, if you guys want to ask me any questions at any point in time, that's what the Discord is for, right? So I do keep a tabs on the Discord. So if you guys ever have any questions about gear or anything at all, you guys can always drop it in the Discord. I will always respond. So, all right, I'm gonna head off. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.